So I hope you're thinking about what do we do with students who are on the spectrum. And as I've mentioned to you before, students who are way on the one end of the spectrum who are totally nonverbal often can't take care of their own bodily functions. Those students would not be in a gen ed class. We're just not equipped to support them. So they would be oftentimes in county classes. So LA County, as we've talked about in class, has their county level courses or classrooms where the teachers and the instructional aides are designed where they know they're going to have to be changing diapers and that type of thing. In the gen ed classes, though, you're going to have people who are over on the milder edge of the spectrum. And one of the most effective techniques we found to help students who are on that lower end of the spectrum is a process that's called applied behavioral analysis. Once again, we abbreviate it to ABA. And we start this with very young kids because, as I've mentioned, they're often diagnosed by the time they're 3 or 4. It's based on B.F. Skinner's work that we teach something, we model it, we reinforce the learning. So when we get the behavior that we want, there's some kind of reinforcement, whether it's praise, whether it's a little treat, whatever it is. And the idea is that we take kids who maybe aren't used to smiling or looking in the eye or that kind of thing. We break that up. It's almost like how they train animals at SeaWorld, right? They take, okay, here's our ultimate goal, and then they break it into bite-sized chunks and practice it and reinforce it and reinforce it so that even little behavioral changes can be huge for students on the spectrum. And I want you to just see, this is just a graphic of things that can be part of the autism spectrum. So a lot of these things should look familiar to you, but we have a lot of what we call comorbidity, which means students who are autistic often can also have ADHD, they can have those emotional disorders, they can have oppositional defiance disorder, they can have anxiety, they can have sensory integration disorder, which means they're very sensitive to like how clothes feel. Like oftentimes they'll only wear a certain type of fabric because the others just feel like they're being scratched or that kind of thing. So a lot of other issues oftentimes come along with students who are on the autism spectrum. So what do we do? How do we help students with autism? And remember, in our classes in Gen Ed, we're going to get students who are high functioning on the spectrum. But they're still going to probably struggle with making eye contact, with socializing with others. They're going to tend to be ostracized, which we want to make sure doesn't happen. They also might get obsessed with one thing that we're teaching about and just want to talk about that. So I want you to read an article that I'm going to include in here from Temple Grandin. And actually a movie has been made about her life. And I'll give you a little bit of information about her. And then I'm going to have a blog in our folder this week where I want you to answer these questions that I've put up here. And she has gone on to now, she is a university professor with autism, right? Which a lot of people would say, that can't be done. But she's made it work, which is a really cool thing. So I want you to go ahead and you can stop this, read the article, and go ahead and participate in the blog.